Good morning, everyone, and welcome to WatchGuard Security Week in Review, a video podcast dedicated to quickly summarizing the biggest information and network security stories every week and to sharing some practical security tips along the way. I'm your host, Corey Nachreiner, and this is the episode for the week starting September 10th, 2012. First, let's start with a quick update to a story from last week. Last episode, I mentioned how some hackers stole some iOS device UDID numbers and claimed they got them from an FBI agent's computer. The FBI, of course, denied this allegation. This week, the CEO of Bluetoad, an app developer, confirmed the FBI wasn't involved, saying the UDID numbers were stolen from them. So this confirms the hackers were lying and the FBI aren't monitoring all our iPhones. The good news is Apple says they're depreciating the use of UDID numbers for app authentication. So this should protect some of the users out there who have their UDID numbers being disclosed. Next, let's talk about some advanced persistent threat news. Over the past few years in presentations and blog posts, I've talked about advanced persistent threats such as Google's Aurora attack. This was an attack that leveraged zero-day, spear phishing emails, and very advanced malware to infiltrate Google's network and steal intellectual property and a lot of Google email. And many say this particular Aurora attack also affected 30 other big organizations as well. The attack seemed to come from China and also is probably what started many pundits in their assumptions that Chinese attackers are stealing our intellectual property. This week, Symantec released a report about the Elderwood project. In a nutshell, Symantec has been following the Aurora attackers over the years to see what they've been doing. They say that these Aurora attackers have continued to use their advanced tactics to target many other strategic organizations over the years as well, including defense manufacturers and other big companies. These attackers are still leveraging very advanced tactics, including having 8 separate 0 days that they've been using over the years. In any case, I'll post a link to Symantec's report in the WatchGuard Security Center post associated with this video. So if you're interested in how these advanced attackers are launching their long-term malware campaigns and stealing our intellectual property, I highly recommend you check it out. We rely on SSL and TLS to protect our web communications, but over the past few years it seems like these protections are crumbling. This week, the 2 researchers responsible for the Beast SSL attack from last year disclosed a new HTTPS weakness. They disclosed some security research on a new SSL TLS vulnerability and also released a proof of concept tool called Crime, which exploits the vulnerability. To quickly summarize, if the attackers can do a man-in-the-middle attack, in other words, if they can get on your same network and intercept all your HTTPS communications, they can use this crime toolkit to decrypt your HTTPS session cookie and then use that session cookie to decrypt your entire HTTPS communication. So it's a pretty big deal. Now the good news is this vulnerability is due to flaws in TLS compression and something called SPDY, spelled SPDY. Now these are 2 compression techniques that try to make HTTPS communications smaller, primarily for mobile devices. So at this time, normal desktop browsers like Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome are not vulnerable to this particular exploit because they don't use TLS compression or SPDY. However, if you have any mobile device, chances are its browser is vulnerable because it uses these compression techniques. I expect the researchers to release more details about these vulnerabilities in the future and that mobile browsers will patch their browsers as well. We'll definitely let you know when they do at the WatchGuard Security Center. Next, let's move to 2 botnet-related stories. This week, Microsoft's Digital Crime Unit announced the takedown of another botnet called Nighthall. In short, they were able to take down the command and control infrastructure that Nighthall used. Now, this was very similar to many of their other takedowns, so I won't go into a ton of detail. However, one interesting aspect of the story is they found this particular Nighthall botnet pre-installed in pirated versions of Windows that shipped with computers from China. In short, you could buy a brand new computer from this Chinese manufacturer and it would already have this Nital botnet infection. Now, though Microsoft claims they've knocked down this botnet's command and control infrastructure, some sources say they've only gotten 57% of the command and control servers, so some of the servers are still out there. In either case, it's always nice to see the good guys taking out some of these malicious botnets, even if they do eventually reappear later. The second story is a new technique botnets use to hide themselves. This week, a research organization released details about an IRC botnet that uses the Tor anonymizing network to hide its command and control server architecture. Essentially, Tor has this hidden service feature that allows you to actually use a .onion or a Tor address, which is an anonymous address, to host some sort of service. This means they point their victims to an anonymous .onion address, making it a lot harder for authorities to find the hidden command and control infrastructure. Despite this new hiding technique, you can still use the same defenses you have been to protect yourself from botnets. If you're using a network security appliance like our XTM appliance, be sure to have IPS and gateway antivirus running across all your services, since this often will prevent botnets from entering your network. You should also use our visibility tools to see if you can find infected machines trying to make connections out to the internet. Let's finish this episode with a little fun security factoid. If you're searching on the latest Hollywood stars, you might want to avoid searching on Emma Watson. Every year, McAfee releases information about the most dangerous cyber celebrity. This year, that honor goes to Harry Potter movie starlet Emma Watson. Basically, if you search on Emma Watson, you have a 12.6% chance that your search result will point you to a malicious website. So obviously, be careful if you're searching for Emma Watson. But more generally, you should be careful whenever you're searching on anything public using Google or any other search engines. Lately, attackers are leveraging black hat SEO or search engine optimization techniques to make popular search results point to their malicious URLs. So as you're searching on the internet, be very, very careful with what you click on. And there you have it. That's this week's security news. Next week, you should expect an on-the-road edition of the weekly security podcast since I'll be traveling in Europe. I may be posting a shortened version of the podcast and it may come a little more early or later than normal simply because of my travels, but I will be back. In the meantime, if you'd like the latest security news, as always, you should definitely follow our WatchGuard Security Center blog, and you can also check me out on Twitter. I'm @SecAdept, and you should follow @WatchGuard Tech to get general WatchGuard news. Thank you for watching, and as always, here at WatchGuard, we're rooting for you.